Okay, dear students, in the previous class, we were studying about the cell, and today we're going to discuss the same topic. Okay, actually, we have discussed that why cell is considered to be a basic fundamental unit of life, and what are the reasons that we select the cell, we consider the cell, that cell is a basic fundamental unit of life. And I have given you so many reasons that because we can say that cell we consider cell as a basic fundamental unit of life because all the functions that is necessary performed, yeah, we can say that all the biochemical activities that we have in our body is and only done inside the cell. Okay, so there you can say that the breaking down of food. Okay, we said the respirations means there are certain biochemical activities that used to take place in our body, and that all is being done inside the cell. Okay, so that's why we consider cell as a basic fundamental unit of life. Moreover, uh, I told you that uh, that cell is able to perform all those activities that we consider a living organism perform. For example, if we consider that all living organisms perform nutrition, similarly a cell also perform nutrition with the help of mitochondria. Okay, we said that we all living organism respire. Okay, similarly the cell also respire, and there are certain transportations we there is transportations take place inside the cell, and we consider that transpirations also take place inside the cell. So and similarly the removal of waste product is done in multicellular organism. Like in the complex organism, we excretion is done. Excretion is an important life process that all living organism perform. So we can say that not only this is not only performed by the multicellular or complex organism, even a cell also perform the removal of waste product with the help of you can say that we can say the vacuoles. Okay, so dear students, here we consider cell as a basic fundamental of unit of life because of the following reasons. Okay, moreover, biochemical activities, I have told you that the biochemical activities takes place inside the cell. So in the previous class we were discussing about the cell. Okay, so let's take about the quick revision that we studied in the previous class. We considered that cell was first discovered by Robert Hooke. Okay, in 1665. We know that in 1665 cell was discovered by Robert Hooke, and it was the dead cell actually he discovered. He did not see anything outside the cell. Okay, what he see actually is the cell wall, the outer membrane of the cork from the dead cork cells. Okay, so we can say that cell wall is also discovered by him. So this is in 1665 he discovered the cell, and we can say that the first living cell, that is Leeuwenhoek, Anton Leeuwenhoek, okay, was discovered. He discovered the first living cell with the help of his microscope that in 1674 that was invented by him. Okay, and this Robert Hooke itself see the cell with the help of his self composed or self created microscope. Okay, and in 1674 it was done by him. Okay, Leeuwenhoek, who discovered the free living cell from the pond water से उसने discovered किया. He had discovered that one. Okay, now let's move further. Moving further, Robert Brown in 1831 Robert Brown discovered the nucleus. We know that Robert Brown discovered the nucleus, and Robert Hooke and Robert. Keep in mind that Robert Hooke and Robert Brown, they are the Robert is same, both of them. But keep in mind, Robert Hooke discovered the cell and Robert Brown discovered the nucleus. And Purkinje uh, in 1839, means after the 8 years, term protoplasm. He coined the term protoplasm. And what is protoplasm? Actually, it is the cytoplasm of the cell. It is the cytoplasm and the cell organelle. Means what is present inside the cell membrane. We considered it as protoplasm. The protoplasm is a coined term. We can say it is cytoplasm plus cell organelle. So cell organelle togetherly they are called as protoplasm. So we call them protoplasm. Okay, so this term was coined by Purkinje in 1839. So, and after that the cell theory was published. Okay, and they are the two different scientists. One is the botanist, another one is a zoologist. The first, he discovered that in plant and animal cells are composed of basic fundamental unit of life. We called it uh, uh, that firstly they are the two different scientists from different places actually. And firstly we say that the plants was just that he who said that Sheridan says that that all plants are made up of cells. And after him, the Theodore Schwann says that after 1 year, he also discovered that Theodore Schwann says that all animals are composed, or we can say that all animals are made up of cells. Okay, so we can see that actually when they say that all plants are made up of cells, all animals are made up of cells, so we can say all living organisms, because plant and animals are the living organisms. So we can say that all plants and animals are composed of cell, or we can say that all living organisms are composed of cells. This is the first point of the cell theory. Okay, the cell theory was further expanded. He means this statement, yeah, this cell theory was further expanded by Virchow. Okay, Robert Virchow, who said that in 1885, he said that all the cell arises from the pre-existing cells. Means the cell has arisen from the pre-existing cell. Means I have given you the example. I have proved you that the cell we to initiate, or we can say that if we need new cells, okay, so there must be a pre-existing cell there. If there is no pre-existing cell, we will not consider it as, we cannot say that it is there is yeah, we cannot say that new cells cannot be generated if there is no pre-existing cells. So the presence of pre-existing cell is, it must be there. Okay, so this was given by Robert Virchow, who said that in 1855. After how many years? Approximately, this is 38 and 9, 11, and 11 and 5. After 16 years of time period, actually, he says that that the pre-existing cells are being required for the formation of new cells. Means new cell arises from the pre-existing cells. Okay, and after the discovery, and you know that the discovery of electron microscope result a new change, and that resulted in the discovery of different parts of the cells, different cell organelles and their functions. So the main discovery of the cells, that what is the different functions, what different organelles perform their different functions, that was discovered. Yeah, we come to know after the discovery of the electron microscope, because electron microscope has a very good magnification, and that is approximately 5 lakh times we can see the 5 lakh to 10 lakh times we can see an object can be means it we can see the object 5 lakh times more bigger, more larger than its original size. So that was electron microscope were discovered in 1940, and that's result in the structure and describing in the different various cell organelle. Okay, so do you have any doubt regarding to this topic till yet? That Hamna and uh, other Miradullah, do you have any doubt regarding to this topic?
Sir, the full name of Leeuwenhoek is Anton Leeuwenhoek.
Yeah, Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Anton von, and then it's Leeuwenhoek. Okay, so A dot V, Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, so he was the first discoverer. So you need to make the question from this notes, that who discovered the first living cell, who discovered the first dead cell, who discovered the term, who coined the term protoplasm, what is cell theory. So this is so many questions can be arises from this and from this small parts. So you need to do this. Okay, will you be able to do this one at homework? Okay, so let's move further. Now coming to the cell shapes. According to, we know that there is a division of labor. Okay, we see that there are different types of cells are present in our body. Okay, and they have different functions. Like you see that this is the squamous epithelial tissue, and this is like this shape. Okay, and this is a ciliated. Sometimes ciliated epithelials are present in the trachea, and the form of this ciliated epithelial tissue is that they help, that these are the cilia, and they help in movement of and restrict the dust particles going in the air. Okay, so this cilia restrict the we can say that help it restrict the dust particle that is present in the airs, and let in the yeah, and allow the fresh air to enter inside the lungs. So this ciliated epithelial tissue is present here. Okay, similarly, this is the neuron cells, that is a wire-like structure, and that is responsible for the transmissions of signals. Okay, transmissions of signals, so they are the different types of cells that perform different functions. Okay, like we say the red blood cells. Okay, red blood cell is responsible for the transmissions of oxygen from one part to another part of the body. Okay, And so there are different like you see that these are the rope like structure and these are the muscle fibers. Okay, muscle fibers from intestine, there is a spindle shaped muscle fiber. So there are different types of fibers are present. Okay, so we consider them, dear student, that there are the different types of fibers are present here, and these fibers, these cells have different functions. Like these are the muscle cells of the heart muscle cells have the intercalated discs, and they are connected with each other. Okay, like they are connected with each other. So they have the intercalated discs, and they that is responsible for the communication. If this is one cell, this is another cell, this is another cell, so they have the intercalated discs and they can communicate with one another. That we will going to discuss in the tissue chapter. So the main thing is that that we have different types of cells in our body, and they perform different types of functions. Like the sperm need to fertilize this ovum egg. So this is like an arrow which will strike this ovum and will get fused and result in the formation of zygote. That we will going to study later. Okay, so this is like an arrow. This is like a you can say that this is like a target. Okay, so this is ovum cell. So this is like a wire like structure. This is responsible for the transmissions of signals or transmitting of message from brain to different part of our body, brain and spinal cord. Okay, so this is called the division of labors, and mostly the cells are we can say that they are the spherical in shape. But actually many a times it happens that dear student, that many a times it's happened that the cell used to have their shape according to their functions. Okay, so we can consider this one as the cell shapes. The cells are variable in shapes. Okay, and generally the cells are spherical. Generally they are spherical in shape, generally spherical, but some of them are elongated. That we can say that the nerve cells, like the nerve cells have the elongated shape. Okay, this is the nerve cell, branched, and we can say that there are some branch cells. Okay, some discoiled, spindle shaped. Okay, muscle cells are spindle shape like this. They are the spindle shape. So they are different types of shell shapes are present, and they perform different functions. Okay, similarly the sizes are also different. The sizes are variable depending on the type of organism. We also consider that they're depending on the type of organism we have, there are the different types of cells we have. Okay, for example, some are microscopic. We can say that we cannot microscopic means they are not visible with the naked eyes. Some are not visible with the naked eyes, some are visible with the naked eyes, we can see them. Okay, so they are a different like we can see then ostrich egg is visible to us and we can see this. So this is a largest cell. We can say that ostrich egg is considered as a largest cell. Okay, so here this is, we can say that there may be different, their range can vary between 0.2 mm to 18 centimeter. Okay, and moreover we can have longest nerve cell that is up to 1 meter. You can say that it is up to 1 meter. Okay, so dear students, the cell size can vary. Like I'm talking about this nerve cell, this is the nerve cell and which I'm talking about, and its size may vary up to 1 meter. 1 meter is very long cell. Okay, so we can consider this cell is very long in size. Okay, so dear student, you need to keep in mind that the cell size varies. It is generally they are very small in size. Generally the cells are very small in size, but most of the time they have different sizes. We cannot have an appropriate size of the cells. Their different cells have different sizes. So do you understand why I said to you that depending on their sizes, depending on their functions they are doing, the cells may have different shapes and sizes. Okay, are you satisfied with this statement or having some doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so size you can consider here the largest cell is the ostrich egg. We can have the ostrich egg is the largest cell and it is approximately 15 centimeter in diameter. How much it is? It is 15 centimeter, dear student, 15 centimeter in diameter. Okay, it is approximately like the size of your scale. You are having a scale, this is of 15 centimeter. The diameter of the cell is approximately 15 centimeter, and it's 8 centimeter 8 centimeter in diameter without cell. Okay, so so this is the ostrich egg. Okay, and moreover you can say that you can consider the longest nerve cell is up to 1 meter. The nerve cell, we will talk about this cell when we will be going to discuss tissue. This cell is the only cell that never divides. It never divides. It is fixed. it has a fixed number of, we have the fixed number of nerve cells in our body. If they get damaged, this is very, very less chance that they got repaired, otherwise they never divide. So if a person get damage their nerve cells which are responsible for the transmissions of signals, so he might have permanent problems of transmissions of signals. Okay, so once a person get paralyzed, you know, so that it is very, very rare of rarest chances that he recovers, because in that case their nerve cells got damaged and they are not able to transmit the signals or transmit the message from okay, so that's why if a person get paralyzed, it is very, very rare case that it got, he or she got uh, uh, cured from that disease. Okay, so we can say that there is a smallest cell. This is question number one comes from this point here. 1 marks question come from this point, that the smallest cell is PPLO. Okay, known as mycoplasma. We can example mycoplasma. That's the size of the cell is 0.1 mm in diameter. That is 0.1 mm means you can say that the value is, its value is 10 raised to the power minus 7 meter. That is very, very small. Okay, so PPLO. And human egg is approximate 0.1 mm in diameter. Okay, so there are the different things that we have, dear students, that you have to keep in mind, that human egg is also very small in size. Human egg, you cannot consider the human don't bear the egg. Actually, we have the reproductive cells, and that are not present in, that are not like the egg, like the egg we have of hen or other ostrich egg. We also produce the egg in human females. The egg is also produced, but it remain inside the body. Okay, so we can say that human egg is of 0.1 diameter, and you can see the shape of that one. That is this is the human egg. This is the ovum, and this is the human egg. Human egg. It do not have the shell like the hen egg have or ostrich egg have. Okay, so it do not have the shell like that, but we also, human females also have egg. Okay, egg cells. So let's moving towards the do you have any doubt regarding to this topic, that that different cells have different shapes, and the important question arises that which one is the longest cell and which one is the smallest cell. The longest cell in our body is approximately, longest and largest are the two different terms. When it is being asked which one is the largest cell, then you have to write the ostrich egg is the largest cell, and when which is being it is being asked that which is the longest cell, then it is the nerve cell that then can have up to 1 meter or more. It can have length up to 1 meter or more. Okay, and which one is the PPLO? PPLO is the smallest cell. Example, mycoplasma. They are very, very small in size, and like the human egg is also small in size. So, dear student, do you have any doubt regarding to this one?
So where was the stripped muscle fiber is found?
This is spindle muscular fiber, muscle fibers. It is found in our simple. There are different. Sometimes it is also found in the those areas which are involuntary. Involuntary actions are being performed. For example, stomach. You can say that in this stomach it is being present. Where in those areas which are not in our control. So in that cases, generally it is being found. Spindle shaped muscle fibers, and these generally are the involuntary actions. Okay, and for example, if you can say that there are certain types of movement that is not in our that is not controlled by our will. Okay, that are involuntary, we cannot control them. Okay, so just like the beating of heart. Okay, we cannot stop if I want to stop if I say that no, my heart is beating from all day, no, let me give it rest. No, so it is not in our control. It might okay, so it is simple that dear student, that there are some actions that are involuntary, and generally those muscles that perform involuntary actions, they generally have this spindle shaped muscle fibers. Okay, do you have any other doubt?
No, sir.
Any other doubt, Veer, Hamna? And okay, let's move further. Moving to the further here, that now there is we should talk about this cell membrane. Cell membrane is an important part of our cell. We can say that there's every cell, whether it is a prokaryotic cells or the eukaryotic cells, all cell bear the cell membrane. Okay, whether it is prokaryotic cells, what are the characteristics of a cell? But let me know what are the three important things that every cell must have. Yeah, we can say that these are the characteristics of a cell. If I'm considering that this is a cell, I'm saying if this point A is I'm considering this is a cell, then what must it have? What are the three things that it must have? Let me know.
So nucleus, cytoplasm, and plasma membrane. Or
No, nucleus is absent in the prokaryotic cells. We can say that it will have DNA. It will have DNA instead of nucleus. Nucleus is something which is going to have a boundary that is present inside the cell. Okay, nucleus have this. We can say that nucleus is going to have, like I'm going to explain you here, right? Look at me. Okay, so wait a minute. So this is the nucleus. If I'm considering this is a nucleus. Okay, why? Because it is going to have boundary. Okay, this is the nucleus. This is the nucleus. So it has a nuclear membrane, but in the prokaryotic cell, if I'm considering the prokaryotic cells, let me give you. This is the prokaryotic cells here, and here the DNA is present, but there is no nuclear membrane is present. So there is no nucleus. You cannot say that nucleus is present. So DNA is common in every cell. Cell membrane is common in every cell. Cell membrane is also called plasma membrane. Okay. And the other one is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is common in every cell. And moreover, a single cell organelle, that is the ribosome, this is also common in every cells. Okay. Let's move further. These are the three things. Okay. So plasma membrane plays a very, very important role. Oh, what is this? Plasma membrane plays a very, very important role in the transmissions, or we can say the transportations of something inside and outside the cell. Okay, this is called the plasma membrane. Okay, let's talk about it. There, here you see that this plasma membrane is like bed-like structure. This you can see that this is like, have you seen a floating bridge that usually remain on the river? This is a river. Okay, you know that if this is a river flowing, okay, if this is a river is flowing, here it is river is flowing, okay, and if I need to go from this position to this position, from A to B position, I need a bridge. So sometimes the bridge is similar to we have different types. One bridge is that is over the water, and sometimes we have the bridge like that is floating on the water. This is made up of some substance that floats on water. Okay, like the wood, like the strips of wood. Okay, if I made over this, so what if I move over this? If we have a you can say that if the water is floating like this, yeah, water waves is being created. Okay, so this bridge will also start floating, and this bridge will also have like this way. If there is a water waves, because this bridge is in the direct contact with the water. Okay, similarly, this type of, we call this is called the fluid mosaic structures. Why I'm saying fluid mosaic structure? Because this is like floating something. Okay, so this plasma membrane is similar to this one. It is having this shape. After some time it will become like this. This will have different shape. After some time it will become the similar state will goes to this will be upper side, and this will be like this. So it is constantly changing its we can say that they do not have it fixed. Okay, so that's why we called it fluid mosaic structure. That will be going to discuss it, that since it is always floating. Okay, so this plasma membrane, this is the plasma membrane, and this is made up of this structure. You have seen this. These are the structures. So let me make this structure. This is like this one. Okay, this is a double one. Okay, so actually this is the, we consider them, this is the phospholipid structure. Phospholipid. These are the plasma membrane is going to yeah, we can say that plasma membrane is made up of phospholipids. Okay, this is phospholipids. What is phospholipid, dear students? This is a phospholipid structure. This means this upper portion is made up of phosphorus something. Okay, and this lower structure is made up of lipids, or we can say fatty acids. And this is made up of phosphorus something. Okay, phospholipids, or you can say that this is made up of phosphorus, some things. Okay, so this is what is the characteristics of this type of molecule is. You need to consider it one, that you need to think here. Okay, so let me explain you that this portion, this upper portion, has a special characteristics, that that dear student, it is water loving in nature, water loving in nature, water loving in nature. And this lower portion, foot like fatty acid, I'm saying that, okay, this fatty acid, this lower part is water repelling in nature, means water hating, water hating in nature. It hate waters, or water repelling is the correct word. Water repelling in nature, repelling. Okay, so they are the two terms we use, that something that is water loving, that is we called it hydrophilic. We consider it hydrophilic. Okay, so hydrophilic, hydrophilic, philic. And the lower part, that is we consider it as, this is the hydrophobic, phobic end. So this lipid has, means this portion is, this portion do not like water, and this portion like water. So here we have the that the plasma membrane is made up of phospholipids and proteins and glycoproteins, carbonate chains. There are so many things that are present. Okay, so these are the phospholipids that are present here, that in the plasma membrane. And this has the two parts. One is the water loving part, and the one is the water hating part. So the presence of water is not there, because they hate water. Okay, and this region has water. This is like this, suppose this is the outside region, outside of the cell, and this is inside the cell. This is the cytoplasm here present. Okay, so you can consider that the water is water, that is water molecule is present here, H2O, and there is also water molecule present here. Okay, so water molecules are present on both the sides, but the water molecules are absent in between, because they hate waters. Because this is,
So this is the cell membrane of a animal and plant, both, no sir?
yeah.
So it will
Both
be
of
the same, sir, because all the other parts will be different.
Yeah, it may be other parts may be different. That's you can say that, but they mainly the cell membrane is same of both plants and animal cells. Okay, so
Sir, and I had a doubt. Animals don't have a cell wall and plants have a cell wall, no sir?
yeah, plants have cell wall, animal cell do not have cell wall. Okay,
Okay.
so these are the water molecules, and these are, so they are the different things that have plasma membrane plays important role. You see that these are the protein carriers, these are the protein transport. Okay, okay, so sometimes we have the oxygens here, we have the oxygen carbon dioxide molecules present here. Okay, so let me make that one also with different colors. Let me choose yellow one. Okay, this is the oxygen atoms are present here. Okay, so this is the oxygen atoms are present, that is being carried with the help of hemoglobins or other stuffs. Okay, we are discussing, consider that this is the animal cell. I'm considering this is an animal cells. So outside, this is a large amount of oxygen is being carried outside the cells, and inside the we can consider that inside the cell there is a large amount of carbon dioxide will be produced because of the combustion of glucose. When glucose that we have in our cells, when it come in the contact with the oxygen, it get burned, and when it get burned, dear students, it is being converted into carbon dioxide is being released, and energy plus water plus energy is formed. Okay, so when this glucose that is present inside the cell, when it comes into contact with the oxygen, it get converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So there is a large amount of water is present inside the cell because it is being formed, and moreover carbon dioxide is present. Okay, carbon dioxide, why it is carbon dioxide present? Because after the combustion, or we can say that oxidation of glucose results in the formation of carbon dioxide. So do you think that in which region we will have more carbon dioxide, inside the cell or outside the cell?
So outside the cell.
Inside the cell we will have more carbon dioxide. Why? Because in the, if I'm considering, I'm going to explain you this one again. Let consider this is a cell. Okay, and this is the different types of cell organelle. Let's consider this one is mitochondria. Okay, so here it is glucose is present. Okay, so consider this one is as glucose is present. Okay, dear student, so when the oxygen enters glucose is being oxidized and result in the formation of carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. So glucose is present inside the cell. When oxygen come in the contact with it, it is being converted into carbon dioxide. So more and more glucose will breakdown will take place, more and more carbon dioxide will be produced. One glucose breakdown, it result in the formation of 6 carbon dioxide molecules. If one glucose molecule breaks, then it result in the formation of 6 carbon dioxide molecules. So if 100 glucose molecule breaks, then it will result in the formation of 600 carbon dioxide molecules. So larger the amount of carbon dioxide will be present inside the cell. Okay, and just imagine this is the blood is going outside. Let me make it with the red. This is the blood vessels, blood around the cells. Okay, okay, this is the blood cells. Let's imagine this is the blood. So this is blood cells, and they are carrying the dissolved oxygen from the lungs. They are carrying the dissolved oxygen from the lungs. So just imagine, dear students, when it is carrying the dissolved oxygen, so there will be large amount of oxygen outside the cell. There will be large amount of oxygen because it is being carried from the lungs with the help of blood for the oxidation. So there will be large amount of oxygen will be there. Now this oxygen enters in the cell because of the concentration difference, and this carbon dioxide comes outside the cell because of the concentration difference. What do you mean by the terms concentration? Let's think that if they are the two rooms, consider they are the two rooms, dear student, consider they are the two rooms. Okay, and here are these are two rooms, and there is one connected with this small door. A door is present here. Okay, there are a lot of pupils are present in this room, and no AC is working here, and there is only 2 or 3 people are present in this room. Do you think that some of the people from this room will goes to this room? Will move?
Yes, sir.
Will they move now? Why? Because there is so much exaggerations, or you can say that it is so much congested. So the people from this room will move to this room. Okay. In the similar way, since there is large amount of oxygen is present inside the cell, the oxygen will move inside the cell. And this is due to concentration difference. This is due to concentration difference. From the outside the cell, there is a higher concentration of oxygen, and inside the cell there is a lower concentration of oxygen. Only some amount of oxygen is present. There is no large amount of oxygen is present inside the cell. So the more and more oxygen will diffuse. So oxygen is moving inside the cell just because of concentration difference, and this do not require any kind of energy. It is just a simple process, diffusion, that we call diffusion. Okay, got it? Do you have any problem? Understand? And similarly, dear student, when there is a large amount of carbon dioxide is present inside the cell, so what will happen? And outside the cell, it is not, there is no large amount of carbon dioxide is present, because blood is having only oxygen. It do not bring carbon dioxide from the lungs. Okay, it only brings the oxygen. So if it is bringing the oxygen, so there is no carbon dioxide is present outside. So and there is a large amount of carbon dioxide is being produced inside the cell. Why? Because dear student, here large amount of glucose molecules is being oxidized and large amount of carbon dioxide is produced. So inside the cell there is a large concentration, a higher concentration of carbon dioxide, and outside the cell there is no carbon dioxide is present. So this will start coming outside the cell due to the concentration difference. Okay, so the carbon dioxide is coming outside the cell just because of the concentration difference, and because inside the cell it is a higher concentration and outside the cell is a lesser concentration. And oxygen is moving inside the cell because outside the cell there is a large amount of oxygen is present, and no oxygen is present inside the cell. So this is just because of concentration difference, and the gases move just by simple diffusion. The gases, respiratory gases, respiratory gaseous exchange, in the cell, in cell is done by simple diffusion, diffusion. Okay, dear student, by simple diffusion, and it does not require any energy transcriptions. Okay, so similarly, dear students, when you think about this one, here the large amount of oxygen is present, so it will be going and diffuse from through these molecules. The oxygen is transporting from here to inside the cell just by simple diffusing from this portion, will goes to this one and will comes to this side. And here the carbon dioxide is diffusing from this carbon dioxide is going from this way, move to this one, and they will be outside the here. Okay, so why this is moving? Due to concentration difference. Here one side is going to have higher concentration, another side is going to have lower concentration, and since the things move from higher concentration to lower concentration, it generally happens. Okay, but what happened to the water molecules? You know that this portion do not like water, this portion hate waters. Okay, so water it will not allow, so this portion like water, but this hate, I don't like water. So actually the plasma membranes have aquaporins, like this is an aquaporins. Okay, aquaporins are the aquaporins, this from where the water enters the cells. Okay, water, this is the water molecule. Let's suppose this is the water molecule, so this water molecule will goes into the cell through this aquaporins, and will reach inside the cell. Okay, so aqua means water and porin means pores, means holes, minute holes. So aquaporins are also present. Aquaporins are also present inside the cell membrane, which help in the transmissions of water in and outside the cell. Sometimes the water is more inside the cell, then it goes outside. Sometimes the water is less inside the cell, then it comes from outside. So aquaporins help inside in moving. There are different types of activities that is also performed by the cell membrane. That is sometimes, dear students, here there are two types of you need to keep in mind here. There are two types of transportations takes place. Transportations across the cell membrane, there are two types of transportations takes place. One is the passive transport, and another one is the active transport. Do you have any idea regarding to this? What are the regarding to these terms? What is passive transport and what is active transport? Do you have any idea? Veer, do you have any idea? Radullah?
So I guess the active transport is the transport which is going on.
And passive transport?
Which is done.
Actually, active transport is that transport that requires energy. Energy is being required. Means it requires energy. Requires energy. It requires energy. And it do not require energy. So water movement, the movement of water and the respiratory gases, the movement of water and the respiratory gases comes under the passive transport. Movement of water and gases come under this category, come under the passive transport. Means they do not require any energy for the transmissions or for their transportation from one part of the cell to the from in and outside the cell. If they are moving inside or outside the cell, it will not require any energy. This is simple passive transport. And why it is happening? It is happening due to the concentration difference. And this is a simple law. If I put the ball here, it will simply move without having any energy, without giving any energy, it will simply move. So similarly, if we have the something like this, is the water is filled here, and if I allow the tap here, the water will comes outside without having an energy, without using any energy. But if what will happen if I need to take this ball from this portion to this portion, from lower end to higher end, so this will require energy. So sometimes first I need to write here why. The reason for this is simple: higher concentration to higher concentration to lower concentration. Lower concentration. Since the things are moving from higher concentration to lower concentration, dear students, so it is a natural phenomena that the things move from higher concentration to lower concentration. They by self move, they do not require any energy, but sometimes the cell has to do something to move against the concentrations gradient, against the concentration. Sometimes it happens that we can say that sometimes it happens that we have to move the things from lower concentration to the higher concentration. For example, you can see that this active transport means movement of ions, movement of you can say this sodium ions and potassium ions. So this require this is an active transport, mean movement of ions. There are important roles that the ions like the sodium ions, potassium ions plays an important role in the proper working of our body. Okay, so this is this, since this movement is from lower concentration to higher concentration, dear students. So this type of movement is called active transport, since it require energy. So sometimes the sodium and potassium movements inside the cell and outside the cell is required, and for that case the cell uses its energy for their transportations. So the movement of gases and water is simple by, we can say that it is simple by diffusion, but the water is not transported with the help of diffusion. It is transported with the help of osmosis. Okay, osmosis we will consider as a process. So we will discuss the osmosis and what osmosis is and what is diffusion. So let's move. Do you have any doubt regarding to this point? What is active transport and what is passive transport, and moreover what is the higher concentration to lower concentration and lower concentration to higher concentration? Do you have any doubt regarding to this topic?
Can you explain the higher concentration to lower concentration?
Okay, similarly, let's just think this thing. If there are so many people, if these are the gaseous molecules, and they have creating so much pressure, so the things are moving from here to here, okay, here to here. So you find that the things you will find that the particle, some of the particle will come from this portion to this one, okay, by their own. But what if you need to, will you think that these particles will move to this side? No, they will not move unless and until you have to force them, because they are stable. Let's give you an examples, the real life examples. Okay, have you, when you think, when you have seen that when we are cooking something in pressure cooker, you all are familiar with the pressure cooker. Okay, so when we start cooking in the pressure cooker, the pressure increases inside the pressure cooker, and due to that you can say that in the pressure cooker this large amount of particles of steam is being concentrated. Water is being converted into steam, okay, and due to that there is a large amount of particles is present. Okay, there is so high steam is present. Okay, what naturally yeah, we can say that according to science, what naturally happens is when we heat with continuously, when we are heating this, the particles have so many kinetic energy, and they start moving to this portion. Why they are moving? Actually there are a large number of particles as comparison to the outside medium. The medium is like this. The particle they have very less space. They have lot of space is present between the particles that are present inside the outside the environment, in the outside environment, and inside the pressure cooker we can say that the particle, there are large number of particles are present in the smaller space. So here we see that the concentration of the particle is less here. Concentration means you can say that the combinations here, we can say that if we consider this particle, this much area, so here in this area there are only 2 particles, but if I consider this much area inside the pressure cooker, there are going to have thousands of particles are present. So this is called concentration difference. Here in this similar area we have only 2 particles, but here in this area there is 1000 particles. So this have higher concentration, and this is the lower concentration. So the particles, when we continuously heat, this particle will start moving to the outside. Have you ever heard that the air from the outside move inside the pressure cooker? Have you ever heard this one? No. This naturally does not happen. But if you need to pressurize this outside air inside the pressure cooker, you have to force them, you have to use the energy, but by its own this will move outside. So dear students, it is a simple that if I need to move this time, this thing here, we need to provide the energy. And sometimes if I need to move this some of the particle from here to here, we don't require energy. So in case of water and gases, this is simple diffusion. This is a passive transport and do not require large amount of energy. But in case of if there are so many sodium ions are present inside the cell, okay, you have not heard about the sodium and potassium pump, but that you will study in the higher classes, sodium and potassium pump. So if there this large number of sodium ions increases inside the cell, if the large number of sodium ions increases inside the cell, there are large number of sodium ions is present outside the cell. Let's suppose, let me use different color. Should I? Green is done. Okay, let me take white. So if there is large number of sodium ions present, okay, and cell need to remove its sodium ion this for its proper functioning. So since there is already large amount of sodium ion is present, and inside the cell there is also sodium ion is present, but cell need to remove for somehow reason, for its proper functioning, sodium ion should be removed outside this okay, inside, from inside to outside. So if we need to remove, there is already sodium ion is present, so the sodium ions are forcing that I need to come inside. But if you need to move them back, you need energy. Let me give you one more example. For example, dear student, just think this is a water tank. Just think it is a water tank, okay, and you have connected, don't think this is having it's open from here, okay, the water is coming from this region, okay, and the water is coming, okay. Now this is your pump here, okay, this is the pump here, okay, and this is the, if you this pump is similar like this. If you think this is a tap also, the water is coming, just think that this is a water tank and it is full with water, okay. If you turn off the fan, if you do not pump, you can say that if the pump is switched off, do you think that the water from this tank will comes to this path, start coming from this one, the reverse process will start, okay. But if in case you switch on the fan, switch on the pump, then the water from this side will start moving to this pump and this will start. So here we are using the active transport for pumping the water from lower concentration to the higher concentrations, okay. So sometimes we need energy for the proper, you can say that, dear students, for the proper functioning of the cells, sometimes we required energy, okay, and sometimes we don't require energy, okay. So there are some important terms about the plasma membrane. Let's look about it. Do you have any doubt regarding to the plasma membrane?
No, sir.
Are you sure? Veer, Mradullah, Hamna?
Yes,
do you have Hamna? Do you have any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So let's talk about it, dear student. So here is cell membrane. It is also called plasma membrane. We also called it plasma membrane, or we also consider it as plasma lemma. Okay, plasma lemma. So it has, you can say that, limiting boundary which separate, means it is a limiting boundary which separate its surrounding, means it separate the cell from its surroundings. Means if I'm saying it is a cell, what does this membrane is creating? This is the outside the environment and this is the inside the environment. So this is the membrane that is separating the cell from its outside boundary, means it is creating a boundary, okay. And it is found in both plants and animal cells. Outer covering in means you can say that it is the outer covering of the animal cells, because in plant cell there is another covering, that we call the plasma, sorry, cell wall. But in animal cell, it is the only outer covering. Outer covering. We can consider this one as outer covering. Okay. And it is made up of protein and lipids. I have told you that it is made up of protein and lipids. Okay. Protein and lipids. And where the proteins are sandwiched between bilayer of lipids. Proteins are sandwiched. You see that proteins between the bilayer of lipids. You can see that here, that you can see these are the protein molecules. These are the protein molecules. Okay, these are the protein molecules. So these are sandwiched. Okay, you see that here, these are the protein molecules. So these protein molecules are sandwiched between these two bilayer. This is the bilayer of lipids bilayer. Okay, so bi means two. So this is the bilayer, lipids bilayer. Okay, so here you see that sandwich bilayer of lipids. Plasma membrane is selectively permeable nature. We say that it is selectively permeable nature. Why? Because it do not allow anything to enter or leave the cell. That the thing that is not, we can say that is not being required by the cell. That is not, that will not enter inside the cell. And the things which are important for the cell, that do not leave the cell. So it is selectively permeable. Means the things which are important do not leave the cells, and which is being required to the cells, only that enter the cells. So that's why we called it selectively permeable membrane. And this selectively permeable in nature, and as it allow or permit the entry or exit of, say, some materials, entry and exit of some materials in and out of outside the cells. Not everything is being entered, not every things leave the cell. And you need to think here that these are the names of two scientists. One is Singer and Nicholson. Okay, Singer and Nicholson gave the fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane. This is called fluid mosaic structure. Means this like this, that continuously have like this shape. Okay, we called it fluid mosaic structure of plasma membrane. According to them, it consists of protein layer sandwich between two layer of lipids. Okay, that I have given you. That is it is two layer of lipids, and it is calcified state, and it has a we can say that 75 angstrom thick. Means it is very thin layer. It is not very much large. It is very, very thin. So that is 75 angstrom. You can say that 75 into 10 to the power minus 10 meter. The size is very, very small. The thickness is very, very small. Okay, actually. Okay, and it is flexible. It is flexible and can be folded. It is flexible and it is folded. It can be folded and reunited. Means sometimes it get destroyed, it get damaged, and then again after some time it again join back. So this is we can say that it is reunited in nature. So regarding to these points that I have written here, do you have any doubt regarding to these points?
No, sir.
Any doubt, any statement that you didn't understand? Got it?
Yes, sir. Got
Okay.
it.
Yes,
Oh.
sir.
Okay. So moving to the next, the function of plasma membrane. What is the
So we
function
were,
of?
so they taught us this in 8th, sir.
Oh, you were taught this one in 8th standard, but
Yes,
this
sir.
one is in your syllabus, so that's why I have to teach you again.
Yes, sir. Sir, it is nice, sir. It got, I learned it one more time.
Oh, very good. So this one is function of plasma membrane. What is the function of plasma membrane? Thus, one function is that it do not allow anything to enter or leave the cell. It is plasma. It is semi-permeable. So it is a deciding in nature that what should leave the cell and what should enter the cell. So this is a one important functions. It regulates the movement of molecule inside and outside cell. Regulate means it is the governor. You can say that it regulates, it controls that something that is being required to the cell, only that will enter, and the thing that is not being required to the cell, that will leave the cell. Okay, and it helps itself in maintaining the distinct composition of cell. There are distinct compositions. Means actually it helps in maintaining the distinct composition of the cell. It means it creates the boundary. It separates the we can say that it separates the cell from the outside environment. So it actually helps in distinct compositions. Okay, that you can say that there are different types of cells. So according to their cell membrane will be there, and it also help in giving the shape of the cells also. So moreover, you can say that transportation of how the transportations of the molecules occurs inside the cells. So let's talk about the diffusions and the osmosis. These are the two very important terms, and we need to discuss them in detail. Okay. So what is diffusions? Have you seen that if I kept this is a tumbler, okay, and let's suppose here it is another tumbler I'm having. Okay, so dear student, think that there's some red particles present inside this. Okay, and there is some green particle present in here. And if I remove this card, and if I remove this card, then what could happen? You think that what could happen after I remove this? What will be the resultant after I remove this card?
So they will mix together.
They will mix together. Means you can say that there will be some green particles will be there. Some green particles will be there. And there will be some red particles will be there. It means they will get mixed together. Why it is happening so? Because you see that, dear student, that here the concentration of green particle is more, and here the concentration of red particle is more. Okay, so they will move from here to here, and this will move from here to here. Okay, so this is called diffusions. This will happen by its own. And similarly, if I took another case, if I just think, if I took this one, and again I am having a card between these two. Okay, and I'm going to have a gas filled here, this, and I've removed the card. What will be the next result? What would be the next result? If I remove this card, you will find that this will be uniformly distributed. Means every part will be 50% of this will move to this one, or you will find that all of them will come to this side. No, all of them will not come to this side. What we will see that this will be uniformly distributed, okay, everywhere, and the concentration will be same. So we find that there is a higher concentration here. Okay, there is higher concentration. Higher concentration is present here, and here it is lower concentration is present. Lower means that is here it is nil concentration, I can say. So lower concentration. So from higher concentration to lower concentration, the things are moving. Why? Because of the concentration difference, dear students. So this is called diffusion. The movement of solute or ions from higher concentration to lower concentration is called diffusion. It does not require energy, therefore it is called a passive transport. We called it passive transport. Okay, so diffusion, you know what is diffusion? Diffusion is movement of something from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, and here it is, what is moving? Here we can say that here the solute is moving. Actually, solute is moving. Okay, or the whole solution is moving. Here you can say that here it is also air, here it is also air, but there is some other particles that we mix in the air. Okay, so they are moving here. Okay, so something, if I took the water here and there is no water present in on the other side, so they will also start moving. So here we can consider that the gases will start moving because of the concentration difference. And what is the difference between the diffusions and the osmosis? We need to understand this one here. And just please, dear student, the terms or definition of osmosis is a little bit complicated to understand. So please concentrate what I'm saying to you. Okay, here so coming to the osmosis, osmosis means the movement of solvent or water. I'm not talking about the solute, only the water as a solvent. Okay, from a region of higher concentration to the lower concentration, that is same. Higher concentration to the lower concentration, this is similar. But what is this? The movement of water from higher concentration to the lower concentration, and through a semi-permeable membrane. We need a semi-permeable membrane for this movement. Okay, so this process require semi-permeable membrane. Now coming to the point, This definition I will again explain you later part, or definition I will explain you in the later part. Just first come to this point and let understand what I'm saying to you. So coming to this point here, you see that this is diffusion. Solvent particles, solvent and solute particles move equalize. Matlab, both of them are moving and there is no semi-permeable membrane is being required here. Okay, both of them are, the whole solution is moving. Okay, so like this one, like there is no semi-permeable membrane is required. So the particles after sometimes you will see that the both of them will move and both of them will come to this side. Both the statement is same in chemistry and bio. Diffusion is same. Diffusion means the transportation of something from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration, and both of them are same. We don't have the different definitions. The statement is same. So in this case, you will find that after some time, the particles will start moving to this region, and until they become equalized, means the number of particles here and here both becomes equal. Till then, they will continuously move. Okay, until the concentration of both the sides is same. Okay, in the whole, this slides will become uniform, and this will result in the continuously movement. Okay, osmosis, only the solvent particle move. This is, you need to understand that here the only solvent particles move, solute particle do not move. The movement is through the semi-permeable membrane. It is being required that the movement is semi-permeable movement. And what is common between two is that the movement is until the concentration of both the sides are equal. The concentration of both the sides are equal. For example, let me explain you with the help of numbers by taking the fixed number of particles. For example, if I took here, there are some particles present here. Okay, and let's suppose I put a card here. Okay, and this is exactly 50%, means this one is half and this one is also half, and if there are 1,000 particles present in this, so unless and until when this the 500 particles, unless and until they move to this side, and 500 particles they move to this side, the process of diffusion will continue. It will continuously move. The particle will start continuously moving until the concentration of both the sides are equal. Okay, so this is a similar, that in diffusion there is no semi-permeable membrane is required, and this we can say that the particles or as a substance are continuously moving. Okay, they are continuously moving unless and until the concentration is same. But what happened to the in case of osmosis? Let's understand the case of osmosis. Okay, dear students, just please, I request you to be here physically here. Okay, not physically, sorry. Okay, so let's take an example here. Okay, there is a semi-permeable membrane. This is a tumbler I'm having right now. Okay, and here is a semi-permeable membrane present. Okay, this is the semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane is present. Okay, and here is, I am having the water particles. This is the water particles present here. Okay, there is also water present here. Okay, and the level of both of them are same and the area of both of them are same. Just concentrate here. I'm saying this area and this area, both of them are same. They are equally, means this semi-permeable membrane is present. In between, we have divided this tumbler exactly into half. Okay, now you see that there are some salt particles are also present. Let me take the yellow color. There are some salt particles are also present. This is a mixture of salt and water. Both of them is going to have, there are some salt particles are also present. Okay, and you see that the level of them are same. Do you tell me which one is going to have the higher concentration of water? Which one? This one A, this one B. Which one is going to have the higher concentration of water? Which one is going to have the higher concentration of water? A or B? Or tell me, will the substance will move from A to B, or mean the water will move from A to B or B to A? Okay, I'm going to give you okay, just imagine you take 1 ml solution from this one and 1 ml solution from this one. Both of them you take. You have a test tube, okay, and you have another test tube. Wait a minute. You have the similar test tube here. Both of the test tube are same size. Okay, this is the A test tube, this is the B test tube. Okay, and both you take the 10 ml solution from both of them. 10 ml solution from both of them. In which test tube do you think the pure water content will be more? A sample or B sample? You are having a 10 ml solution in both the test tube. In which test tube do you think that the water particle will be more? Tell me, dear students, we have the test tube A and B. In which test tube do you think the water particles will be more? Veer and Muradullah. Oh yeah. In which test tube do you think the water particles will be more?
So can you repeat the question?
Yes, why not? Here, this is the semi-permeable membrane is present in between these two terms. Okay. And we have some salt present here. We have some salt particles along with water particles. The white particles represent the water, and yellow particle is representing the salt. And here, there is only water present here. The level is same. You take 10 ml from A and 10 ml from B. Okay, this is the 10 ml solution present here and 10 ml solution present here. In which do you think that the water content will be more?
So B.
In B, because this is pure water and this is also, there salt is also present, so water content is more. So the concentration of solvent, we can say that here, just listen to me, concentration of solvent is higher here and the concentration of solvent is lower here. Concentration of solvent is lower here. You see that the concentration of solvent is lower here, and we know that solvent means water. What is solvent? Means water. Okay, and we know that the things move from higher concentration to lower concentration. So the water will move from here to this side, means the movement. Wait a minute, Nadullah, let me first complete this one. The water start moving from a region from B to A, means the movement will be from B to A. The solvent will start moving from B to A. And this is called the osmosis. Yes, Muradullah, you were saying something?
No, sir, it's by mistake.
Okay, it was by mistake. Okay, so this is called the osmosis. So, dear student, you see that here, if the different types of particles is present, if the two different types of particle is present here, and here is only one type of particle is present, the particles where only one type of particle is present will move to the other side. Okay, so here we see that the concentration of, there is only water particle present here, we have the water as well as salt particles is present here. So the water will move from this one, and this osmosis also help in the transmissions of food. This due to this osmosis, the transportation of food from leaves to different part of the plants take place. How does this happen? For example, let me explain you. This is the tissue that is only responsible for taking water. So this is taking water from roots to upper part of the plant. So this is water molecule that is being carried out. Water molecules that is being carried out from the xylem tissue, and this is called the xylem tissue. Let's explain. This is the xylem tissue that is responsible for the transmissions of water. Now this is along with this one, there is another type of tissues present here that is called the phloem, and that is taking the food. Let's suppose this is food particle present here. Okay, food is present in this particles. This is a large amount of glucose is present here, but there is no water present. There is less amount of water is present. So water start moving from here, from this region to this region. Water start moving from xylem tissue to the phloem tissue. This is phloem tissue that is responsible for the conduction of food. Okay, so this will start moving, and this tissue gets swell when the water reaches from this region to this region, from this one to this one. So this food tissue gets swell, and when it swell, the substance move to the adjacent tissue, means this will move to this tissue, and then again the water is present in this tissue, the water moves to this one, then again this swell, then again this reaches. So this is the way that how food is transported from one region to the another region. Again, I'm going to explain you this one. Just listen to me. I'm going to use, this is the xylem tissue. This is the xylem tissue that is taking the water, and along with the xylem tissue, we have the phloem tissue that is taking the food. So this is the large amount of food is present here, but no water is present. So water start moving from here to here. Why? Because of the concentration difference. Here a large amount of water is present, but there is no water present. So higher to lower, higher to lower. Here is higher amount of water is present. Here is a lesser amount of water is present. So water start moving from this one, and this transportation of water from xylem tissue to the phloem tissue result in the swelling of the tissue swell, and when the tissue swell, it transport its material to the adjacent tissue, the tissue that is lower to this one, and the food will move from here to this region. Food along with water will move to this region, and when the food reaches to this region, concentration food of become, so next tissue that is present here will transport the water to this one, then again it swell, then when it swell, due to increase in pressure, this food will reaches to this tissue, and this process remain continue, and from one tissue to another tissue the food reaches. Okay, so this help in the transportations, a large amount of transportation. Similarly, the water also transport in the cell from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration, and this is called osmosis. So this is the final definition I'm going to give you, and then we will be going to quit the class. This one will be over. The movement of solvent or water from higher concentration to lower concentration. Higher concentration, why I'm saying higher concentration? You see that if I took the sample from this one, this is only water is present, only the water particles are present. But here along with water, there are salt particles are present. So if I took the 10 ml solution from this one and 10 ml solution from this one, I will find that in B part, there is more water content present, and in A part, there is lesser amount of water is present. So we say that the water will start moving from B to A because the higher concentration of water is present in B, and the lesser amount of less concentration is present inside in A. So the water will start moving from A to B. Got it? And this is called the osmosis. We called it osmosis. So osmosis means the movement of solvent or water from higher concentration to the lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane, because semi-permeable membrane do not allow this solvent to pass through it. Solvent is restricted by semi-permeable membrane. Only the solvent is allowed. So semi-permeable membrane help us in we can say that it restricts this solvent to enter. And this is, have you heard about the RO that we have in our home? RO, reverse osmosis. And this reverse osmosis also plays an important role in the filtration of water that is very salty, and to remove the salt from that. We will discuss this one in some other day or some other class. So that's all for today. If the time is, I don't know if I'm teaching you why the time moves at faster speed. So that's all for today, dear students. I know that it is late. Sir, yeah, Mradullah, I get the mail. I got the mail, and I'm going to send you the PPT of the motion chapter that I have taught you up till yet, and the the PPT of is matter or not pure that I have taught you up till yet. Okay, I will mail you today only. Okay, so thank you so much for joining this class, dear students. If you have any doubt and any query regarding to this topic that I have taught you till yet, you can ask me. Do you have any doubt? What is osmosis and what is diffusion?
No, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hamna, do you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all for today. The next will be the physics class on Sunday. So thank you so much for joining this class.